Aloha everyone! This is Chiko here at Daifukuji Soto Zen Buddhist Temple in Kona on the island of Hawaii. And today we're in the temple kitchen where I would like to demonstrate an easy method to make your New Year's mochi. Every year our youth groups, Youth Taiko Group and Young Buddhist Association with the help of Sangha members, puts on a grand mochitsuki, and we make, I think, thousands of pieces of mochi for everyone's New Year's needs. But this year, due to COVID-19, we are unable to hold our annual mochitsuki. So some people in the community are already worried about where they're going to get their fresh mochi with which to welcome in the new year, which is a very cherished Japanese tradition. So I came across an old recipe for an easy method for making plain mochi for your New Year's Kagami mochi. And today I'd like to show you how to do it so that if you cannot buy mochi, you can try this method. But I would suggest maybe practicing once before the New Year comes. Okay, so the recipe, we will put it in the box below, but I also had put it in the temple's newsletter. It's our December 2020 newsletter, which is available on our website, www.daifukuji.org. So now when you make mochi, you need to purchase mochi rice. You cannot use just any kind of rice. Please buy what is called mochi gome, mochi rice. It's called short grain sweet rice, mochi gome. It's gluten-free, and it is very glutinous, so that the result will be a nice sticky ball of mochi, which is what you want. So remember, don't use just any kind of rice, but be sure you purchase specifically mochi rice. Any brand will do. This one is Koda Farms Shochikubai Mochi Gome, which is a very high quality product. So basically for this recipe, you're just using mochi rice and water. Mochi is a very pure food. We need a few other things. We need some katakuriko. This is a potato starch. You can find it at an Asian grocery store. And if you cannot find potato starch, you can use cornstarch. But this is to prevent the mochi from sticking to your cutting board, sticking to your hands. That's what we'll use it for, to dust our mochi. Okay, so let's get started. So yesterday I scooped out 1.5 cups of this mochi rice, and I washed it. I put my rice in a colander, something like this, with very small holes so the mochi rice doesn't get stuck in the holes. If you don't have something like this, you could just wash it in a regular mixing bowl and drain the water. So you wash it a few times, drain the water out, and then add 1 cup of water. And then you would soak your mochi rice and 1 cup of water in a bowl like this one, and I soak this overnight. Soak it for at least 4 hours, but I find that it's better, the longer you soak it, the better, easier it will be to grind it up in the blender, because we'll have to pulverize this or liquefy it in the blender. So here, this was soaked overnight. Again, 1.5 cups of mochi rice and just 1 cup of water, soaked overnight. Okay, let's now go over to the blender. And it's important that you have a high-powered blender such as the one I'll be using, because you don't want to burn out the motor of your blender. Okay, let's go over to the blender. We're going to pour this into the blender and blend it on high speed for 3 minutes until the mixture is smooth and liquefied. Okay, so here we are. I have a Ninja blender, which does a great job. I already made a batch of mochi earlier, so this is to show you. So I'm going to just pour all of this into my blender. Water, rice, and all. In our Japanese culture, we are taught not to waste even 1 grain of rice. So we make sure that every grain of rice is cooked and used and nothing is wasted. We say mottainai if it's wasted, because rice is so very precious. Then we will put a nice cover on our blender. And we're going to blend this for approximately 3 minutes, or depending on your blender, of course, until the mixture is liquefied. Here we go. Okay, let's check it and see if the mixture has been liquefied. Yep, this looks good. This looks good to me. So, I don't know if you can see this, but it is liquefied. Okay, so the next thing we have to do is to pour this into a microwaveable dish. You can use something like this. You can use whatever you have, a bowl, microwaveable bowl. So what I do first to prevent the mochi from sticking to the bowl is to spray it with some cooking spray. If you don't have cooking spray, I guess you could use some kind of cooking oil. But, okay, then we're going to pour this into a microwaveable bowl. It's beautiful. Okay, and then we're going to cover it with some plastic wrap. You cover it with plastic wrap, and we're going to pop this into a microwave oven for about 4 minutes on high. Of course, depending on your microwave oven, but approximately 4 minutes on high. And after it's done, you leave it inside the microwave oven to sit for an additional 3 minutes. Okay, so here we go. Put this in here. 4 minutes on high. Okay, so I've just taken this pan of mochi out of the microwave oven. So it cooked in the microwave on high for 4 minutes, and then after it was done, it sat in the microwave oven for another 3 minutes, just to give it a chance to solidify a little bit. The next thing we're going to do is sprinkle this with some water. So just lightly sprinkle your mochi, the top of the mochi, with just a little water. Perhaps it's dried out a little bit during the cooking, so I'm going to just sprinkle it with a little bit of water to moisten the top. You don't need very much. Okay, so here it is. Okay, so here we are. Here we are. Okay, so I have my cutting board here. I put a piece of parchment paper over the top, anything to prevent the mochi from just sticking to the board. And then I sprinkle this katakuriko, potato starch. I generously sprinkled it over this board. Like I said, if you don't have this or you aren't able to obtain it, you can use cornstarch. Okay, now we're going to turn this mixture of mochi right onto the board, and it comes right out since we sprayed it with some cooking spray. Okay, so I'm using gloves today. If you don't use gloves, be sure that you generously dust your hands with the katakuriko, the potato starch, to prevent the mochi from just sticking to your hands. So here we go. I'm going to roll it a little bit. I hope you can see this, into a log in this katakuriko starch. Yeah, we'll roll it in the starch. If you have an excess of powder on your mochi, later on you can use a brush, a pastry brush or something to brush off the excess. So, okay, I've got it into a log. I hope you can see this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make some small pieces of plain mochi. And the plain mochi will be used for a New Year's Day soup called ozoni, which is our traditional soup for with which to welcome in the new year. So here we go. We're going to make the small plain mochi. Remember, this is just the mochi rice and water. So I pinch it off a little bit here, the size of mochi that I want. And then I'm going to, if you can see, pull the edges of the mochi in toward the center and pinch it in toward the center. When you do this, what you're left with is a nice smooth top like this, which you could then roll and you can shape your mochi. So it's still nice and soft and it's very shapeable. So here's a piece of, we call it komochi, small piece of mochi for our New Year's soup. So I'm going to make a few of these. Put them again into a tray lined with parchment paper or wax paper. And I'll teach a trick that I recently learned. So sometimes you try to line a bowl, a dish with parchment paper, and it doesn't, it tends to want to curl up and doesn't line the bowl nicely. So what you do is you crinkle it all up into a ball like this. And then you open it up. Then it's ready to line whatever container you wish to line, and it will actually stay flat. So I'll put the komochi into this tray. Now if you don't have parchment paper and you're putting the mochi directly on the plate, be sure to sprinkle a little bit of your katakuriko on there so that the mochi doesn't stick to your plate. Okay, here we go. We'll make a few more. Again, pinch toward the center like this, and roll it into nice komochi. Pinch it off, and I'm going to do this. So this is for, you can use this in your ozoni soup. The kind of soup you make depends on what part of Japan your ancestors came from. There's different people, have different kinds of soup for each region. This plain mochi is also very delicious fried. Remember, after a while, it's nice and soft now, but after a while it's going to harden, and then before eating it, you will want to perhaps fry it in a frying pan with a little bit of oil or cooking spray or butter or whatever you like to use. And you can fry front and back until it becomes nice and a little bit crusty. Okay, some of you like mochi filled with red bean paste. And this turns this mochi into a Japanese sweet. Red bean paste is called anko, and it is sold in the local grocery stores. You can buy it in cans. Sometimes you can find various kinds of or anko in packages. And oftentimes what I like to do is I look at the sugar content on the back, and I choose the one with the least amount of sugar, because anko is basically just azuki beans cooked with sugar. So, or some people make their own, then they can control the amount of sugar in the anko. So what I did was I opened this can, which I had available, and I shaped my anko into little balls, and I popped this into the refrigerator for a little while. You don't have to do this, but I think it makes it easier when you try to insert this ball of anko into your mochi. So to make an mochi with red bean paste, again, okay, pinch off the amount that you need. Flatten it, yep, kind of flatten it, so that you have something that looks like a little mochi pancake. Okay, let's see if I can, I'll use a spoon to scoop out my ball of anko and put it right into the middle like this. And then I'm going to pull up the sides of the mochi. And again, I'm going to put toward the center and pinch it right here in the center. Okay, then again, shape it. We always like to have our mochi nice and round, and there is symbolism to this as well. As we start the new year, we don't want to start the new year with any sharp edges to our heart or mind. We want ourselves, our character, our personality to be nice and round, meaning very tranquil and serene. No sharp edges to poke anyone at the start of the new year. Okay, so here it is. This one is filled with anko. I'll make one more. Again, maybe a bigger one. Pinch it off. I'll flatten it out. Put in a little ball of this anko. If you don't have time to make the little balls, you can scoop it directly from the can and then fill up your mochi. I think this just makes it easier, and your balls are more uniform this way. Okay, pinch toward the center, round, and try not to get the anko on the outside of the mochi like I did. Yep, beautiful mochi. So these are, the ones filled with anko are eaten just as is. did I want to show you? Oh yes. So, just like this, mochi tastes so wonderful with a cup of green tea. Or if you like coffee. We're in Kona, so Kona coffee, right? 100% Kona coffee. Some people like their mochi dipped in a mixture of something called kinako. And kinako is roasted soybean flour. It says kinako, soybean flour powder, again from the local grocery store. And this is just ground up roasted soybeans. So it's nice because it has lots of protein. So I've added like a teaspoon of sugar into this bowl, and then I'm just going to put a generous amount of kinako in here. I'm guessing maybe about 2 or 3 teaspoons. And then you can mix it up, and you can dip your mochi in here, and it tastes oh so delicious with kinako with a little bit of sweetener. Another way that we like to eat our mochi is that, let's see, after it is fried, again, I just use a little bit of sugar. If you don't use sugar, you can use another kind of sweetener. I have used liquid stevia in the past, a few drops of the stevia, and I like it. And you just have a little bit of sugar, you mix it with shoyu, yeah, soy sauce, whatever kind of soy sauce that you like and have available. You just mix it up. Sugar and shoyu, stevia and shoyu, what kind of sweetener you want to use with soy sauce. If it's too strong, if the soy sauce is too strong, just add a little bit of water to dilute it. And then when you can fry your mochi, your plain mochi, you can fry it. And then you would dip it into this soy sauce and sugar mixture, and it's very delicious. What my daughter and I like to do is we get a piece of toasted nori, the toasted seaweed. We wrap this up in a piece of toasted seaweed, sort of like musubi, and then we just dunk it into the shoyu and sweetener, and it's so good. So the last thing, thank you for hanging in there, I'd like to talk about is something called Kagami mochi. And I'm going to talk about Kagami mochi. Kagami mochi is the mochi offering that is placed on a Buddhist altar, or a Shinto kamidana altar, or just in your home. If you don't have an altar, you can place Kagami mochi in your kitchen, in whatever room you like. And it is to invite blessings and good fortune for the new year. So traditionally, Kagami mochi is placed on something like this. This is called a sambo. And oftentimes at the local grocery store, you can find some special good luck paper that they sell with beautiful pictures, sometimes of the 7 gods of good fortune or some kind of good luck picture on it. But since I don't have that, I'm just using a plain sheet of white paper. And this is where you can use the same recipe that we just used, and that one recipe will make you 1 set of Kagami mochi. So earlier, using the same recipe, I made 1 large mochi flattened, which I'm going to put here. It's good to, like I said, if you have a pastry brush or something, just dust off the excess katakuriko. And I'm going to place it here. Okay, This is going to be a New Year's decoration for the house. And you would have a smaller piece of flattened mochi to place on top of this one. So it's a stack of 2 mochi. Of course, the larger piece on the bottom, the smaller piece on the top. So one of our temple kupuna, one of our temple elders taught me a trick, because you would leave this mochi out usually for a few days. I think in Japan they put it out before the New Year and put it away. But here in Hawaii, a lot of us put out our Kagami mochi on New Year's Eve so that it will be there on New Year's Day. Particularly here at the temple, we hold a Joya no Kane service at midnight, and then a service, blessing service on New Year's Day. When people come to the temple, we like to have the Kagami mochi offered to the Buddha and Bodhisattvas on our various altars inside the temple. So if you leave the mochi out, it tends to get moldy. And the mold oftentimes will grow where these 2 mochi pieces are stuck together because there's no airflow here. So one of our temple members said what she does is she folds up a piece of gauze or a piece of paper towel like this one, and she places it between the 2 mochi just to separate and give it a little airflow before the 2 layers, and this helps to retard the growth of mold just under this. So you can do that if you wish. And then with Kagami mochi, traditionally, you will put a tangerine with leaves on the top. Sorry, I didn't have one with leaves, but try to find one with fresh leaves. Yeah, just a few fresh leaves. So the tangerine, in Japan they have a citrus called dai. Here we think it's kind of a small mandarin orange. Here we don't have them so much, so we use tangerines a lot. Dai is a word that also means generation after generation. So by placing the dai on top of the mochi, you do so with the wish that your family will be healthy and prosperous and do well, generation after generation. Kagami means mirror, and the mirror is a very sacred symbol in the Shinto religion. In Shintoism, it is considered a sacred object. From the Buddhist standpoint, Kagami mirror is something I was told by a Buddhist priest that shows our own reflection. And part of our practice is always to reflect upon ourselves, upon our thoughts, our words, and our deeds. And we would like our thoughts, words, and deeds to be pure, kind, and beneficial. Always beneficial to others. May we cause no harm and live with compassion, live with kindness. So here we have New Year's Kagami mochi, and I have this little kadomatsu decoration, but that's for another video to explain what this is. Traditionally, an arrangement of bamboo, pine, and plum blossoms is also used as a New Year's decoration. Okay, so everyone, thank you so much for joining me here in the kitchen at Daifukuji Soto Mission. I will put the recipe in the box below. May you have a safe, happy, healthy, and prosperous New Year.